Hi, I'd like to bring your attention to an issue that some of us with disabilities are having with gas stations in Canada, and that is the fact that due to the trend that people are trying to save a few cents on every liter of gas, they'd rather pump their own gas than go to full service. Now, this has been happening for quite a long time now, and in following this trend, gas stations have been trying to gain the most profit, and in this case what they've done is a lot of gas stations are removing or converting their full service pumps to self-service pumps. Now, this wouldn't be an issue for many people out there, but with people with disabilities such as myself, it can be quite challenging to fill up your tank with gas. There's a couple of things involved here. I'll name a few things really quickly. People with disabilities, some people with disabilities who use mobility devices have modified vehicles where the person has to exit the vehicle on their mobility device either by ramp or lift. It's usually on the passenger side, and they have to be able to negotiate their vehicle in such a way where they leave themselves enough room on the driver's side. Let's say that's where the gas cap is. They have to leave themselves about 3 feet from the pump in order to maneuver their wheelchair, let's say, in there, in order to grab the pump and then go inside and pay. At the same time, you have to remember that they also have to leave enough room so they can exit their vehicle and enter their vehicle on the passenger side, usually by a lift or a ramp. And simultaneously, they have to keep in mind that other people have to use the gas station as well, so they don't want to be blocking them in with their ramp or their scooter. And I guess courtesy would be the best word to use there. Now, gas stations will tell you that they are accessible because they have a ramp that allows someone, let's say in a wheelchair, to go in, to ride up the ramp and go into the store. Maybe they have a power door, maybe they don't. Go into the store and pay for their fuel and any other items they might need, go back in their vehicle and leave. They also tell you that for people who can't pump their own gas, what they should do is there's a help button on the keypad on the pump itself, and the attendant will come out and pump your gas. The issue with this is that their policy is that the attendant will come out if they are available. In other words, if they're not too busy serving other customers, or if the station itself isn't too busy. This, in my opinion, is not even close to being acceptable as far as the Human Rights Code, the Ontario Human Rights Code, is concerned. The Ontario Human Rights Code states that every person has the right to equal treatment with respect to services, goods, facilities, with discrimination because of, amongst other things, disability. In addition to that, we also have the Accessibility for Ontario Disabilities Act. Section 38 informs us that the AODA will supersede all other laws pertaining to accessibility and provide that the highest level of accessibility prevail. In other words, regardless of what laws come before or after the Accessibility for Ontario Disabilities Act, this act will prevail in cases where they want to make sure that the highest level of accessibility is maintained or increased. Also with this is the customer service applies to all public and private companies that have at least one employee. Gas stations certainly fall under that. This act informs us that although the goods themselves, in other words in this case the fuel themselves that organization sells, does not have to be accessible, but rather the way in which the good is provided has to be accessible. In other words, someone who with a disability who wants to get gas has to be able to access that gas. Now, you may think that pushing a help button and waiting for an attendant to come out and pump your gas for you is adequate, but let me mention a few things. It states that if they have time, they'll come out. So in other words, let's say they do have time and they come out. it means that they'll stop pumping gas if somebody else comes into the gas station and needs to get fuel and is walking into the store. They'll stop helping you, go in and help them, come back out and pump your gas. Think about the payments, the payment that has to be made after purchasing the gas. Unless you're paying with money, you can't reach the terminal to pay for to use the card. You're gonna have to give that person your PIN number in order to swipe the card for you. Push the PIN, push the amount in, and hit OK, and then give you the card back. Basically, you're taking all liability in the event that that person does something. Fuel companies will also tell you, recommend that if you are a person with disability, maybe you can call ahead and make sure that someone is there. In other words, they're asking you to schedule an appointment to come in and pump your gas. I don't know anybody who has to schedule an appointment to pump gas. I've heard of doctor's appointments and things of that nature, but not pumping gas. Fuel is a commodity that everybody uses. Given the technology we have today with vehicles, fuel is the primary way of propulsion, and not electricity. What I believe should happen is, I believe our provincial governments should mandate that gas stations leave one full service attendant at every station, or in the event that that won't happen, at least the province should guarantee that each municipality have one service station within a certain geographical area. So that way there is an option for someone with a disability to have some dignity, keep some dignity, and be able to get fuel without having to wait for everyone else to get fuel, without being considered a second thought. Now, fuel companies may tell you that this will cost extra money. My reply to that is that servicing people with disabilities and making sure that they have access to your goods should not be considered an expense by the company, but rather part of the cost of doing business in this country. This country is one for diversity. We have acts and codes that I mentioned earlier that mandate this, and I believe they should be maintained. What I think should be done is, when companies, not just fuel companies, but all companies, when they are changing service or changing goods, they should keep the spirit of these three acts in mind when they're doing this. Introducing new goods or changing services, it's not necessarily the addition of services one can consider and how it affects accessibility, but rather also the removal of services and how it affects accessibility. Now, my suggestion to everybody out there who's watching this is, if you're interested, please contact your local MP, write a letter explaining your concern for this, and hopefully with enough people helping out, we might be able to get some full service stations back. Keep something else in mind. If you're thinking right now that this doesn't apply to you, I got a little information for you here. Our population's age, as a lot of people know, the age of our population has been increasing in general because baby boomers are starting to come into the age of retirement. You yourself will probably, hopefully, reach the age of retirement as well. Unfortunately, with aging also often comes forms of disability, physical challenges, and you may be in a situation where you might need fuel in the future and want to fill up your car, or having a great deal of difficulty. So please contact your local MP, and please share this video. I'd like to get the word out and get people to understand that the smallest things in life, the easiest, what we consider pedestrian as far as daily activities, may be challenging to some of us. Thank you. Take care.